Uniform level of knowledge. Students coming to a course have different backgrounds. One student may have gained experience of the subject matter at work, while another one may have slept through any previous lectures on the subject. Pre-studies or an initial test are ways of helping students to start a course from the same line. In this way, the teacher will not necessarily need to repeat all the basics during the course, while at the same time being able to identify any difficult areas. Studying the subject matter before the start of a course and taking an initial test is also in line with the principle of continuous learning, as the student must give some thought to the course content as a whole in advance. When is this teaching method suitable? The method is best suited for a course that mainly aims at learning various terms, knowledge and mechanisms. On courses with a more contemplative nature, such as philosophy, ethics and psychology, the method can be used for purposes such as learning the background theories. How much time and work does this teaching method require? Time is required particularly for the careful choosing of the study material and the preparation of test questions. However, these can often be reused on subsequent courses. If you are using a multiple-choice online test, the correction work does not take much time. Students, as well as the teacher, often benefit from the learning diary. Reading through learning diaries can be time-consuming, depending on the content of the diaries. On the other hand, they help to understand which sections of the course are particularly difficult, so this can be taken into account in the classroom. Case. This is an example of practical implementation. Mike teaches anatomy and physiology to student nurses. Half of his next group of students consists of kids straight out of high school, while the other half are practical nurses with work experience, training to become registered nurses. Mike is not quite sure how to adjust the teaching to such a level that everyone would find the course challenging enough. He considers different alternatives. He picks up the anatomy and physiology textbook for the course and prepares 10 rather easy questions for each section. He enters the questions in the school's learning environment and prepares an initial test for the course. In the course description, he explains that he has removed 3 lectures from the first Monday of the course, so that students will have time to study and take the initial test using the course textbook as help. Mike sets the passing score at 75% of the maximum score. He also explains that the test must be passed in order to be allowed on the course and that the initial test can give students extra 5 points for the final grade, which comprises 50 points. Assessment. Students take the initial test using the textbook and become familiar with the book at the same time. However, 25% of students fail the initial test. Mike allows 2 retakes, and everyone passes. He notices that students have often given wrong answers to questions about hormones. Therefore, he adds 1 group work assignment on hormones to the course plan. Otherwise the course is held as planned. In their feedback, students criticize the high score required for passing. On the other hand, Mike receives positive feedback on making students use the textbook. During the course they often used it because they knew what information they could find in it. Nearly all students answered the questions on hormones correctly in the exam. Useful tips. The material to be studied should not be too extensive and it should focus on the basics. The most difficult matters should be discussed thoroughly in the classroom. If you use pre-study material, it is recommended to hold an initial test or give an assignment to be turned in before the beginning of the course, so that students have to process information in advance. Without any assignments, they will not necessarily study before the course. The passing score can be set at 50% of the maximum score, for example, and allow several attempts as needed, so that no one drops out. A test is also a learning situation. The initial test can be included in the overall course assessment. It can constitute 10 to 20% of the grade, for example. If you are using learning diaries, remember to provide the students with clearly defined learning diary assessment criteria. How can the school learning environment be used for support with this teaching method? The material to be studied before the course can be chosen from the school service, which provides good basic knowledge of the subject matter of the course. Material not included in the service can be added to it, or produced from scratch in cooperation with School. You can use School's exam tool for the test. It stores the questions and tests for future use. You can receive statistical information on answers through School. Before your course, you can arrange a discussion related to the lectures of your choice in our virtual classroom. Students in continuing education can study specified content in advance and take a related test. You can use the test results on the actual training day to inspire discussion or demonstrate the need for continuing education.